In part 4 of our On the Road series, we'll show you around Sovereign Hill at Ballarat. While in Ballarat, we'll take a look at the very colourful botanical gardens. From Ballarat, we'll go to Bendigo, where we'll check out some of the heritage listed buildings. We'll take a walk through Ballarat's Chinese garden. We'll visit Ballarat's botanical gardens, this and much more in part 4. I'm Mick, and this is Sally. Together we've been caravanning Australia since the 1980s, and more recently we started to put the videos together just to show you some of what we see out there. There's a lot to see in Australia, and we hope you enjoy what we have here to show you. You can follow us on our trips via the following social media platforms. If you like the following video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our next destination after leaving Peterborough was going to be on towards Melbourne, and due to having COVID and recovering from COVID while we're in Peterborough, our plans have changed, so we're no longer going to sail. So we make our way up to Haddon, which is just short of Ballarat, and set ourselves up there for 2 nights. Yeah, g'day everyone. We begin this video in a place called Haddon. We pulled out of Peterborough this morning and we've made our way over here. It's a 72-hour free camp, or donation actually, so we'll make sure we do a donation, and it's a Lions park here at Haddon. So we'll be here for at least 2 nights, and we'll shoot into Ballarat and have a bit of a look in there while we're here and see what else we can find in the area. It's quite a large camping area, this one, set up by the Lions Club from Haddon, and it is a donation as mentioned before, but they've got the shed there, there's 2 barbecues in there, 2 power points actually that you can, I guess, charge phones and whatever. They do ask you not to connect to any camping equipment like caravans and so on whilst you're there, but that's very good of them to supply that, and they've got the kids' playground there as well. When we pulled into this campground this morning, it was very wet underfoot. It had big rain the night before, or during the night preceding us getting there, so we were very selective where we stayed, but the water did drain away pretty well. But yeah, as you can see here as we go over with the drone, quite a popular camping area. Haddon's only about 15 kilometres out of Ballarat, so the next morning we made our way into Ballarat, and from there we had a bit of a look around the sights of Ballarat. Our first port of call in Ballarat was Sovereign Hill. Now this is at least the 3rd, may even be the 4th time, I'm not real sure on that we've actually visited Sovereign Hill, and don't be fooled by the lack of attendance of other people here. It looks a bit bare in the streets, but bear in mind it's an overcast cool day, and it's right on opening time, so we're the first of the crowd for the day. The interior of the buildings that they have at Sovereign Hill are all set up as though they were in their working condition when the buildings would have been in use, and it's quite nice to see what people back in the gold rush days had on offer to them. The Empire Bowling Saloon, even back in the gold rush days they had 10-pin bowling, and here's the inside of the bowling saloon. Inside some of the workshops here, it's amazing to see the way that everything is driven by belts. It's got some colossal overhead belt conveyor system type thing here, as you can see. So one thing drives another and it goes on to another, and yes, everything's belt driven, and here we are with the one of the main driving engines. Here we have the main boiler house, and inside that is two big boilers, as you'll see as they come onto the screen there now. The horse and coach that you're looking at here now is all carved out of wood, and they're almost a replica to full size, not quite, but they're located at the cafe and the kids' playground. You can have a horse-drawn coach ride if you want to, and that'll give you a tour around the entire Sovereign Hill area, and that includes down around where you do your gold panning. The section that we're looking at now is where you do your gold panning, and if you feel lucky enough, you can go down there in the water and try your luck at a bit of panning. There is an area where you can walk up, and it involves steps of course, but it will give you a raised aerial view of what the ground looks like from up above. There was even a gentleman in the street with this family here showing them how to play quoits, the old game that they would have played many years ago. Always very interesting to watch the gold pouring, and that's what's happening here. The flame there, that will heat the gold up to a molten state so it can be poured, and then they'll pull it out here and she'll pour that into a gold bar. Once she's finished pouring it, she'll grab hold of the container that she poured into and knock the gold bar out. And that gold bar there, so she's telling us, is worth $850,000. So let's go gold hunting. From Sovereign Hill, we went onto the Eureka Stockade, and this is very interesting. This one, it tells a story where all the gold miners and so on basically revolted against the government with all the taxes and fees that they were paying. The plaque coming up tells a full story, and if you want to have a look at it and read that, just pause the video as it comes up in a moment, and there it is there. Read through that and I'll tell you the full history of the Eureka Stockade fight. The Eureka Stockade Museum is very well worth going in to have a look. It's very informative, and you can walk around, and there's, as we see here, we'll explain the event as well. From the Eureka Stockade, it was onto the Ballarat Botanical Gardens. The Botanical Gardens here, like other gardens that we'd visited, they had the dahlia display as well, although not as many as what we have seen in particularly Portland, but they're still very colourful. It was almost a perfect day weather-wise to be walking around the gardens, and what a picture this was to soak up the colour like we're seeing now. The Robert Clark Conservatory, depending on what time of the year it is, has different coloured flowers with different types of flowers on display, and when we went in there, they got the begonia display on at the time that we were there, and it really had the wow factor. It was such a colourful display, it just about blew us away. There were so many people inside here looking at this display that I don't think there would have been anyone that didn't have the wow factor to it, and certainly no one went out disappointed in what they saw. There was more people taking photos here than I'd seen anywhere else. See such colour when you walk around gardens like this, it's a credit to the people that work there. They must be very, very pleased with the results that they get at this time of the year. It's quite a large and very pretty garden, this one. It's something that you wouldn't want to go there and visit and think that you've only got 5 minutes up your sleeve. So if you're intending on going to have a look at this one, then it's something that you want to allow yourself as much time as you need and not put a time limit on your period that you spend there. This one was certainly something different, a clock made out of flowers. Time stands still for no one, and it was soon sunrise on the day that we were leaving Haddon, and we quite enjoyed our time here in the camping area. People were quite friendly, but we put in the TomTom for Bendigo and it wasn't going to take us through Ballarat, so we thought we'd follow the TomTom on this one. But any farmer that saw us going up the road and had a caravan on the back must have thought, God, them buggers are lost, because why would you be on this road in a caravan? But never mind, we got to Bendigo in the end after a bit of a dog's leg and hen's tour, but we got there, that was the main thing. Caravan parks in Bendigo were quite busy, with some of them being booked out, but never mind, we got into one in the end, and once we got set up we made our way into the main CBD area of Bendigo to have a look at some of the older buildings there. Bendigo certainly has some older style buildings that are very pretty to look at, and this one here, the Soldiers Memorial Institute, that was the first one that we had a look at. This building here is known as the Shamrock Hotel. Now apparently that's the one that Prince Charles and Lady Diana stopped at when they visited Bendigo some years ago. We had a fair idea what we wanted to have a look at while we're in Bendigo, because we have been here before, but we went into the information centre and we spoke to a lovely lady there, and she gave us a few hinters, and she suggested that we go up to the Poppet Head lookout and have a look, because that gave us a bit of a 360 degree elevated view of the town of Bendigo, or the city of Bendigo I should say. And as we went through the conservatory and the gardens here, we had a bit of a look on our way through and made our way up the hill to the Poppet Head lookout. As we made our way to the tower, it took us through the Roslyn Park. Now in this park is the home of the endangered flying foxes that Bendigo has, and love them or hate them, they're right up on the top of the canopy of the trees, and there's absolutely millions of them up there. These foxes are an endangered species in Australia, and in January 2020 there was a heat wave and over 200 of these foxes died. So the council of the area are trialling different methods to enable these foxes to lower their temperatures during a big heat wave. The Camp Hill Primary School is one of many heritage buildings that are in Bendigo. Up on top of the rise behind Roslyn Park is a Poppet Head lookout, and it's here where you climb the stairs to go up the top and have a look at these views of the city of Bendigo. It didn't appear to be that high up on the top of the Poppet Tower from the ground level, but for someone that's got a phobia of heights, it certainly had me thinking in the end. If you don't mind a few stairs, the view from the top of the Poppet Tower is certainly worth the effort to go and have a look at it. This heritage building here is now the Performing Arts Centre of Bendigo. These heritage buildings stand high in the sky, and the St John's Presbyterian Church and the Sacred Heart Cathedral are certainly easy to find when you go looking for them. The Sacred Heart Cathedral is certainly a spectacular building to look at. Very hard to photograph though, because you need to be close enough to get a good photograph of it, yet you're too close to get the entire building in one shot, but certainly a spectacular building. There's only certain days of the week that the public can go inside the building, and unfortunately whilst we were there, it was neither of those days, but something that we'll put on the calendar to do next time we're back in Bendigo. From the heritage buildings we moved on to the Chinese gardens, and here at the gardens, including these lines that are at the entrance to the gardens, everything has a meaning. The Chinese Garden, which is also known as the Garden of Joy, was based on the Imperial Palace of Beijing, and the architecture and construction of the gardens is authentic in every way. The water, the fish, and the paintings, they all have a meaning to the Chinese people. The 8 mortals shown here are guardians and guides through life. As a non-Chinese person, I obviously don't know what everything represents in here, but it certainly is a very relaxing place to come and spend time. I could be wrong on this one, but I believe this is a lotus flower. It's 5 metres high, but if I'm wrong, leave a comment down below and tell me what it actually is. From the Chinese garden we went on to the botanical gardens, and most of the flowers here at this garden were actually on the outside on the footpath at the entrance to the garden. gardens are in immaculate condition. It's almost to the point where you think they must have run the miles around earlier on in the day that we were there. Like previous botanical gardens that we'd visited, dahlias were a thing of the presence there, and looking at these, it's almost as though this area is on the tail end of the dahlia season. They were still flowering, but not as bright as what some of them were earlier that we looked at in other gardens. We did the full circuit walk here, and there were a lot of people, a lot of families having picnics on the lawn. Now, I didn't film them because purely for privacy reasons, but certainly a very busy botanical gardens, this one. The caravan park that we stayed at whilst we were staying in Bendigo was the Golden Nugget, and it was here that we spent 2 nights. The caravan sites are a bit tight to get onto, and once you've got your van on the site, then you're required to park your vehicle on the roadway, so it makes it very difficult when you want to get out in the morning and people have got their vehicles parked up along the roadway. Even though there was restricted room to get a caravan out in the morning, everyone knew what the situation was, and people were soon quickly volunteering to move their vehicle to make access easy for everyone. I think this is the first caravan park that I've seen that's actually got a coin-operated coffee machine in the camp kitchen, and something I'm sure a lot of campers would appreciate. In various spots within the caravan park, there are a good mix of cabins and caravan sites scattered around or throughout the site, I should say. The caravan park is located on the main Bendigo to Echuca road, and it is set well back off the road, so main traffic noise is not an issue at all. There is no fence to the adjoining land on the northern side of this caravan park, so there's room for expansion there if they need to, but I'm not quite sure who does own that land. But yeah, as you see there with the caravan sites there to the left going on the bottom corner of the screen now, there's room out there to expand. During our 2-day stay here, we did have 7 mils of rain during that period, but the managers and the workers, they were always busy doing something around the park. There was always something for them to go and do. Well, this brings us to the end of this video, and for us it's the end of Bendigo, and unfortunately for us we had 2 nights here, but this last day, like today, just been rain on and off all the time, so we haven't been able to get out and do much, but never mind. We did a lot of what we wanted to do yesterday anyway once we got here when the sun was shining. So hope you've enjoyed the latest video, and we move on to Echuca tomorrow, so until the next time, you take care and look after yourself. If you like the video that you just watched, give us a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of our videos, click on the subscribe button, and once you've done that, change the bell notification to all. That way every time that we do uploads to our YouTube channel, you'll be notified.